welcome back to Deep Breath Healing with Jen. Today we've got a nice little practice for more self-love, body acceptance. So today we're going to have a nice little mantra, and it's going to be that my body is already enough. Okay? So I want you to keep that thought in your mind today as we move through the poses. And if for some reason you start to feel negative about yourself, I want you to always bring it back to our mantra. My body is already enough. My body is enough, whichever, if you like the shorter version, that's fine. And also, one of the most important things in yoga and life in general is bringing it back to our breath, right? So let's start together by taking 3 deep breaths. You're gonna breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. All right, let's do this. All right, so I know when I'm having a hard time with my confidence, body image, sometimes I want to be closed off. So we are going to start in child's pose. Child's pose is really good for like calming the mind. It's good for anxiety, and it's just a great pose if you're not quite comfortable yet, feeling like you're open and vulnerable to the world. So let's start in child's pose. I'm going to start by making sure your big toes are together. And all you gotta do is come forward on your mat. You're gonna look straight down. I'm gonna look at the camera to talk to you for a moment. But yes, you're gonna look straight down. And while you're here, I just want you to keep repeating the mantra to yourself. We can repeat it, let's repeat it 5 times. I like that, that way it settles in. All right, I'm gonna say it, and you can say it out loud with me, or if that feels silly, you say it in your head. My body is already enough. 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 And take a moment to think about what that means to you. So while you're doing some nice deep breaths here, take a moment to think, what does that phrase, that mantra mean to you? All right, so let's take 5 good deep breaths here. Take your time and move at your own pace, okay? Here we go. Excellent. And when you're done with that, again, move at your own pace. That's okay. There's no rush. We're going to meet in tabletop position. So for tabletop, there's a couple things that we got to remember. We want to stack our shoulders over our wrists, okay? And sometimes I notice when I naturally get in this pose, like I kind of come forward. So we got to make sure we want everything to be aligned and centered here. You want a neutral spine. You want your shoulders over your wrists. And you want your hips right over your knees, okay? So we're gonna sit here for a second and get situated. And when you're ready, we're gonna break into some nice cat-cows. So with cat-cows, we wanna breathe in when we go into cow and breathe out when we get into cat. So let's do that. Let's take 5 of them. Breathe in. Breathe out. For cat. In for cow. Out for cat. In for cow. Out for cat. In for cow. Out for cat. Time. Lovely. So I think that was 5. If I lost count, I'm sorry, but close enough. All right, awesome. And from here, we are going to meet in our first downward facing dog. So when you come to downward facing dog, you're probably going to need to walk your dog or walk it out a little bit here. Okay, so take a few moments to just kind of pedal the feet and feel more relaxed in your legs, stretched, getting a nice little stretch. Because sometimes it's a little too much to come straight to the downward facing dog. So let's do that. And then when you're ready, you can settle into your dog, your downward facing dog, and take a moment to recall our mantra, my body is already enough. And in downward facing dog, let's make sure that our neck and head are like all aligned here. Excellent. Now let's take a moment and let's come back down. Take a nice little breath. So see how strong your body already is and how amazing it is, able to hold yourself up. And even if that was a little hard and you weren't able to hold yourself up as long as you would have liked, like you still took the chance to come here and meet on the mat and try it. So wonderful. Okay, so we are going to start kind of flowing here. And this is the part where sometimes body image can get pretty tricky. If you're having a hard time with the pose or the way you're feeling in your body, just keep coming back to our mantra and keep coming back to your breath. All right, so let's move into tabletop and into a nice downward facing dog. Hold for 3, 2, 1. And then let's gently walk up to the top of our mat and hang here with some nice ragdoll arms. You can go side to side. Take your nice little side to side motion here. It's quite nice. Definitely feel it in the hamstrings. Make sure your knees are not locked, okay? That's important. So make sure your knees are not locked. Feels so good. Okay. And then you can come straight down. And let's come up to a halfway lift. And forward fold. And let's come totally up to mountain pose. Excellent. All right, let's swan dive forward. Meet me in plank. And you can take a full flow here if you would like. Otherwise, you can drop into child's pose. If you flow, you can come up to up dog, cobra, whatever feels good. And when you're done, meet me back in downward facing dog. We will all meet here. Excellent. All right. Sometimes for me, it feels kind of good to like come into plank a little bit. So if you need to move around a little bit, go ahead and do that as we're warming up and getting ready for a nice flow sequence. All right. So from downward facing dog, let's walk forward to the top of the mat. And we're going to halfway lift. Forward fold. And come on up to mountain pose. And take a nice deep breath. Smile a little. It's a good day to be alive. All right, let's come back down. Step it back to plank. Take your flow or take a nice little child's pose. And meet me back in downward facing dog. And let's walk it up to the front of the mat, nice and slowly. And bring it to a nice halfway lift. Forward fold. And arms come up. Mountain pose. Stay here for a moment, repeat our mantra. My body is already enough. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to come back down, swan dive forward. And step it back to plank. And take your flow or come down to child's pose and relax. Make sure you listen to your body and what it needs. Now I want us to take it back to child's pose. So if you're already there, cool, chill there with us. So now at this point, you should feel the fire kind of starting in your body, starting to warm up and things move. And your heart rate might be increasing. That's awesome. So see, your body can do so many amazing things. It can stretch and loosen up. It can work out and move through some of these poses. Like, I don't even want to call it working out. Let's call it joyful movement, because working out has a negative connotation. And we're not all about moving our bodies to change them. We're moving them because it feels good. All right, come back to tabletop. And up to downward facing dog. And step it forward. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Meet me up here in mountain pose. And to this second now, what I want you to do is I want you to take your hands and put them on your heart. So this time in mountain pose, we are trying something a little different, right? So I'm trying to face you so you can see I'm doing it with you. And just kind of sit here for a second. It might feel kind of weird or awkward, and that's okay. But you have a heartbeat. You are still alive, and life's better with you in it. And you know, as much as the media tells us that our bodies are not enough, or we need to change our bodies to this unrealistic size or eat a certain way, none of that's true. All of that is just a bunch of crap made up so we can hate our bodies and pay more money into these diet culture ways. Okay, what you feel right here is your heart beating, and that's true. That is the truth. All that other stuff is just nonsense. You are not, you don't need to change anything about you. Okay, so now join me as we sit in a nice little seated pose. We'll take easy pose, Sukhasana, and we're gonna sit up nice and tall. We've been working on opening up our back and stretching our body. All right, excellent. Feels good to take a seat for a moment here, right? Okay, I'm gonna turn to the side just so you can see everything that I'm doing, but you can sit on your mat however you feel comfortable. Okay, what I wanna do next is I would love to take a half pigeon. So I'm going to start by crossing my left leg over my right knee. So my foot is is past my knee. I'm not sitting my leg on my knee because that wouldn't be safe. So I'm a little below it. Feels good. All right. And then I'm gonna grab everything and I'm gonna roll down. You don't have to do it that way. You can get into your half pigeon, whatever feels right for you. So sometimes people like to roll down first and then pull their legs up for half pigeon, whatever works for you. So we're just gonna sit here. I just want you to focus on your breath. We're not counting how many we take at this point. We're just taking some deep breaths, okay? And I'll cue you when it's time to come back. But for now, just focus. Focus on the breathing. Maybe you want to roll your feet. You heard my ankle just just pop. Ooh, there it goes again. Feels good to roll your ankles. So bring your thoughts back to your breath. I'm sorry for distracting you. And when you're ready, you can meet with both feet on the mat, and it feels really good to kind of windshield wiper the legs just to kind of loosen that up a little bit. All right. So move the legs back and forth. Excellent. And for from here, you're gonna cross the right leg over, and we're gonna pull our other leg forward here. Left leg forward. We'll see, for me, I can feel this side being a little bit tighter. So I'm gonna not, you don't want it to ever feel like anything's pinching, so I'm not gonna pull as quick, as close to me as I did with the right side. So keep that in mind. It shouldn't feel painful, it should just feel like a nice stretch. Okay, so close your eyes. Let's take some deep breaths here, okay? And if it feels better after you've been doing it for a little bit to stretch it a little bit more deeper, then go ahead, but don't push anything that's not natural feeling. Excellent. And you can bring your legs down, and we can do that nice windshield wiper motion again. It feels really good. Love it. Such a nice pose, right? Okay, so next, I actually want to sit up a little bit for a moment. And I want to do a nice little forward fold, a seated forward fold. So we are not trying to hunch over here, okay? I want you to just kind of keep your back as nice and straight as you can, and we're gonna come forward. And it doesn't matter if you're all the way down here or you're like up here, it's fine. But let's just come forward a little bit to feel a nice stretch in the back of our hamstrings and our lower back, okay? Just like this. Let's sit here for a moment with our bodies. My body is already enough. And just sit with that thought or mantra for a couple of breaths. Excellent. And now we're gonna take like a nice little split here. So I can't do the full splits, so I am just sitting here as best as I can, and that's great. I'm not super flexible with this pose, and that's okay. So if you're like me here, it's okay. Or if you're all the way back there, cool. All right, so we're gonna sit in a nice little split position. Make sure you're sitting up nice and tall, engaging the core muscles, right? Take a nice deep breath. And what I want us to do is just take a nice side stretch over here. We're stretching over our right leg. And I want you to challenge this and look up. Look up. Look up at the sky or the ceiling. That's nice. And then come back to center. And let's do it on this side. So we're going up and over. And look up at the ceiling. Excellent. Okay, feels so good to do a nice little stretch. So now's a good time to do that windshield wiping motion again, since we just did some intense stretching there. Lovely. Okay, so we're going to take a nice Shavasana, but in our Shavasana we're going to have a little meditation. So meet me in Shavasana. We're going to lay down. So I want to challenge you to not put your hands on like your stomach or like cross it over your body. I know sometimes I can feel comfortable, but let's not do that. Let's open our bodies up for the world, right? Let's open them up and let's see what beautiful gifts we can get when we're open and confident in our bodies and our abilities. So I want you to just lay here, and if you're comfortable closing your eyes again, you can close them. I want you to just lay here and focus on your breath. Okay? Maybe focus on like 10 deep breaths for a moment. And you can keep your eyes closed and keep focusing on your breath. I'm just going to say some encouraging words to you. You are already enough. You do not need to shape or change your body in any way. Diet culture is stupid. Don't buy into it. You're wonderfully created. Your body has amazing capabilities. You are so much more than your body. You deserve to take up space. Sit with that one for a little bit. You deserve to take up space. And lastly, your body is already enough. If you'd like to stay in Shavasana for a while, that's fine. If you'd like to start bringing life back to your body, you can kind of wiggle your toes, point them, maybe roll your ankles. You can stretch overhead. And you can join me in a nice seated position if you're ready. And I thank you so much for joining me for this practice, and I hope you could take our mantra with you throughout this day, throughout this week, throughout your life. I appreciate you joining me, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.